Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Kaylee and I'm an INFJ 9-wing 1. So this was kind of a long-awaited video, so I really appreciate your patience with me. My husband and I were actually on a road trip for a few weeks. So we just got back and have been settled down now, and so it's time for me to make this video. So before you go, I hope you will subscribe to come back for more videos and check out my Instagram. I post a lot of polls on there so you can actually influence the kind of content you see on this channel. Check out my website. I would love to have an appointment with you talking about your type and help you figure out your type or help you figure out what to do now that you know your type. Let's get into it. Okay, some things I've learned from being around Enneagram type 9s. Now this actual video is kind of painful for me because I am a 9, but I also have like some secret insight. I feel like it was really easy to crack the code because I know it. So first thing that I've noticed from being around Enneagram type 9s, a lot of 9s don't like to feel in the way or like they are being a burden on everyone else. They don't want to feel like they are taxing on other people or that everybody would be better off if they just weren't even there. I think 9s kind of already feel like, you know, it doesn't really matter if I'm here, my presence doesn't matter. So they don't want to feel like they are a burden. And a lot of times 9s, you aren't actually a burden because you work so hard to not be a burden, so you aren't. But a 9 might really work hard against not feeling like they're a burden on everyone else. Like, okay, I'm not going to put in my input on where we need to go to eat because I don't want them to feel like they have to go there because I said so, or I'm not going to tell them that I want to go here because then they're going to feel like they have to, and I don't want to do that. So where you can kind of see the 9 revealing what they really care about is if you are like going on a road trip with a 9, or you are, you know, driving in the car with a 9. I always think of like spending time away from home for an extended period of time on a trip, on vacation, going to camp, you know, something like that. The 9 might take up a lot of physical room. So like how an 8 takes up a lot of room, but not physically. An 8 isn't necessarily going to take up a lot of physical room, but you're going to know they're there. A 9 kind of does the opposite, where they're going to fade to the background a little bit, and they might not stand out when they show up, but they might take up a lot of physical room. And what I mean by this is in the car, if you're going on a road trip, they might need a pillow and a blanket, 2 snacks, 2 drinks, and a place to put their feet up. That takes up a lot of physical room, and I think it's funny, every day when I'm leaving the house, I always have like a cup of water and a cup of coffee, and then I have my purse and my keys. So I'm carrying stuff like this out to the front door, and I'm like trying not to spill stuff and drop stuff. And my husband's like, okay, we have to leave. And I'm like, okay, it's just gonna take 1 minute for me to make my coffee. Like, give me just a second. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't wanna be a burden or get in anyone's way. But when it comes to naps, when it comes to coffee, when it comes to my drinks and comes to my blankets and my pillows, I'm gonna need those. And I've noticed this with a lot of 9s, like going to, on like church camps and going on church road trips and different things where we're going to camp for a week. Just through observing what I do and what the other 9s do, actually watching other 9s makes it a lot easier to see kind of what you do too. And you know, we're on this road trip and we're driving to our camp that we're gonna be at for a week, and you know, they're just been like, this 9 has been quiet most of the drive, and you know, maybe they were on their phone for a little while, asleep for a little while. We finally get to where we're going and they haul out like 2 bags instead of just 1, and I'm like, okay, they have an extra bag, all right. And then they rush to the dorm and find the best bed, and they take that one, and that's where they're gonna stay. And it's funny because they don't want to take up room and they don't want to be a burden, but when it comes to their physical comfort and when it comes to my physical comfort, you can kind of see they are fighting each other. I don't want to cause them problems, but I also want this for myself. So there are problems there. There's a little bit of a conflict there, but that is something that I've noticed within myself and other type 9. Okay, second thing, it kind of goes along with the first thing of not trying to be a bother, not trying to cause problems for other people. But something that I've noticed with type 9s is they work kind of the opposite of a 2 in a lot of social settings. They can be kind of opposite of a 2 in a lot of social settings. So not every 9 is this way, but what I've noticed with a lot of 9s is you go to someone's house for dinner or you go for a gathering or something, and you kind of feel awkward and you kind of feel like you don't really fit in with everybody else, not because they make you feel bad, but just for some reason you feel like they're a whole group and I'm kind of not. For some reason, there's just this kind of feeling that you're not really a part of them, whoever they are. You are either helping them become like better friends with each other, or you're just there because you had one person that kind of asked you to go, or they are your really good friends, but for some reason you might just not quite feel like you fit. And a lot of times in those awkward situations, instead of making your presence more known and kind of proving to everyone your worth and your value there by getting in the middle of it and being like, kind of how a 2 helps themselves not feel as anxious and uneasy in new situations. And a 2 would go in and at this, say it's a dinner party, afterwards they feel kind of anxious. They feel kind of like maybe they aren't being accepted by everyone and maybe they don't quite fit in with everyone. They're going to go pick up everybody's dishes and help wash them in the kitchen. And look, I am helpful, I am good, I am valuable, you can trust me, I am good, I see, blah, 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 But a 9 is going to, most times, more often than not, withdraw their presence even more than it was. Instead of coming to the dinner party feeling a little bit awkward, feeling like I don't fit in, I'm going to show how good I am and prove how valuable I am to the group. A lot of times they fall back on, okay, well, if they don't want me here, then I'm not going to cause them problems. And if I don't cause them problems, then they'll see that I'm not actually an enemy. I'm actually okay. So in doing that, you kind of box yourself off into a corner of, well, now it's more difficult for people to talk to you and open up to you because you're sitting here like a little bit reserved. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's really not helping you out in any way. And I know I definitely have the tendency to do this, and I think a lot of people would think that I'm extroverted when I'm talking to them, but it takes a lot for me to actually get up and go talk to them. I went to a birthday party yesterday and it was just kind of awkward for me because I didn't know a lot of the people there. So I just sat there and I ate some birthday cake and I talked to a couple people that I knew. And when a couple people that I didn't know came up and introduced themselves to me, I was nice and friendly, but I felt a little bit uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable to be in new situations with new people and not really know your place. And I think 9s really like to know their place. So when a 9 doesn't know their place, a lot of times they just kind of fade to the background to prove I'm not a problem, I'm not gonna cause you issues, everything's fine, it's as if I'm not even here, don't even worry about it, see, I'm not gonna give you any stress and you're not gonna give me any. See, we're friends, it's all good. So in a way, you are helping yourself feel better, but you might be hurting your potential relationships with new people because people want to know that you're open and available and ready to mingle, People want to know that you aren't afraid or you think you're better than them and you're not able to talk to them. So it's hard for me saying that, knowing that that's kind of the thing that I will do, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there and be willing to kind of feel like, you know what, I maybe caused them problems, maybe I was in their way, maybe I did do that. But trust other people and trust that they'll tell you. Trust that maybe somebody will tell you, you know, you actually are in the way. Can you please leave, or can you please move? Instead of just feeling that and it not being true and wasting tons and tons of opportunities because of that feeling. Number 3, this one really hurts me. This one is horrible. This one is definitely a first-hand experience one. I have dealt with a lot of 9s that fall into this third thing I've noticed. So type 9, something I've noticed about you is you are some of the worst people to ask for help from. Not always. It depends on who is asking. It depends on who you are, where you're at in life, and what is being asked of you. But time and time again, if I have asked for help, or I've been in some type of leadership position and I have to ask volunteers for help and the volunteers are 9s, a lot of time it is very difficult. So the self-preservation 9 can be difficult to ask for help from because they, you know, they're kind of stubborn, and when they have a healthy boundary, they can say no, but when they're feeling a little overwhelmed, they'll just say no about everything. And then the sexual 9 and the social 9, their problem isn't so much just saying, no, I'm not gonna do that, as much as it is, you know, let me think about it and I'll get back to you, okay? I'll get back to you. I have to ask somebody what I might have plans, you know, they might wanna do blah, blah, blah. I'll have to get back to you. And then, you know, a couple days, weeks go by maybe, and then the answer is no. When it would have been a lot easier to just, you know, for them to say, I don't think that's gonna work out, or no, that's not going to be the case. I'm not going to do that. So the 9s, they don't want to disappoint you or cause you problems, but they also don't want to do that. So a lot of times 9s will say yes and then later say no, or say, I have to think about it, I'll let you know, when they are fully aware that the answer is going to be no, and then just giving it a couple days or a couple weeks, hoping that you'll kind of forget about it, and then, you know, then telling you no. So 9s, you can be really frustrating to ask for help from, and you know, that's something that I've seen from other 9s, and so I've been working on it within myself of, you know, try to decide quickly, or be open, say yes to life, because that's what I would definitely say. Is my dad is a 7 and he always says, say yes to life. You can always say no later. And for most things that is actually true. So as a 9, try to push yourself, because at first you're going to have to push yourself to say yes to life. And when somebody asks, hey, can you help me with this, that, and the other, say yes. Don't be a pushover. And don't let people take advantage of you, because you don't need to say no to everything and you don't need to say yes to everything. But when it's something that you kind of want to do, or maybe you think you should do, or it would just be a little bit of work for you, you might as well help them out. Say yes to life and say yes to people when you are available, when you do have free time. Don't kill yourself to help someone, but don't just say no to everything because you're in the habit of saying no, okay? So think about the things in your life right now that you could start saying yes to, even if it's coming from yourself, even if it's like, you know, I really wish I could start this hobby, but I'd have to get up an hour earlier every day. Well, start doing it. You can always say no later. You can always stop doing it. You can always decide later that it's not for you. So say yes to life, and, you know, try to incorporate new things. And if you mean no instead of I'll tell you later, then just say no. There you go. Fourth thing I've learned from being around Enneagram type 9s, this one is another difficult pill to swallow, and it is, you don't necessarily think people can see your small and subtle signs. So when you are annoyed, or you are tired, or you are sad, you don't think that people can really see that or read that from you. And I think it's just because of your own view on yourself that people aren't going to be able to read your emotions, because who am I to have emotions or show emotions, you know? I'm not giving off, I don't have a presence like that, you know? But you do, and people can tell when you are happy, when you are sad, when you are miserable, when you are angry. And so thinking that they can't can be kind of destructive to you. It's really, it can be destructive to other people as well, but it's really a disadvantage to you, because you might feel upset, but you're deciding to work through it anyways. You know, somebody says, do you want A or B? I want B, so can we please do that? And you're like, I don't want to do B, but I guess. So you're like, sure, let's do B. And you think you're being pleasant and you're being kind because, you know, B actually is fine. I honestly don't care. I did, but I don't care anymore. Well, now you're walking around like that all day. And you think, well, they can't tell. I'm still doing B. They're happy because we're doing B. And I'm fine with it. They're fine with it. So everyone's fine. Even though I would have liked you to do A, it's fine. But the other people can read your emotions. The other people are intelligent humans as well, and they can tell when there are things off. And when you're like walking around like Eeyore, people can tell. Or when you're mad. I think a lot of times 9s are very angry and don't really process that anger or show that anger or even admit that anger to themselves, because being angry means there might be fallout for other people. Being sad is something I work through on my own. Being angry, it might be something that I have to talk to you about, and being angry might be something you need to change and I need to change, and it does not sound like a good deal. So being angry, you might be angry. It's better to just be kind of like that 8 and stand up and say like, look, I am mad about this. I did want to do A, but I'm okay with doing B. You know, I think B would be fine. I would like to do A, but B is okay. And then actually having that conversation about it could probably help you kind of get this load off of your back, and then you don't have these subtle signs anymore, and then they know you were mad but you're not anymore, and you're not going to be pouting. So I don't think 9s do a lot of intentional like trying to make people walk on eggshells, but you do a lot more like subtle signs that you don't think people notice as much as they do, okay? So people can probably read you a lot better than maybe you can even read yourself. You are a physical type, and when you're in your feeling and thinking, you might not be noticing what you're doing with your body, because, you know, the 9s are separated, feeling and thinking separated from doing. If you're in your feelings and you're in your thinking, you might not notice what you're doing with your body. And your body language is very, very important. That's what like 80% of communication is made up just through body language. So make sure that you are kind of being aware that other people can read you and read your emotions. Okay, so and you might have a little bit of a disconnect with that. So every once in a while, just check in and be like, is my face reflecting how I feel, or am I showing something other than how I actually feel? And that might save you a few problems down the road. Okay, next thing, number 5, change. Change can be scary because you have this fear of loss, fear of losing whatever it is that you have in your life right now, or fear of just the fear of change. So change can be frightening, and it can feel unnecessary and uncomfortable, because if things are working right now the way they are, then why do I need to change them? A little bit of an answer, just, you know, I'm going to give you the question and the answer. With that one would be, just because your life is okay now and you're doing fine, you might even be doing good now, does not mean that it can't get better. So that seems a little bit out of the ordinary of, you know, a way of thinking for, I think, most 9s, but actually start actively seeking more out of life. Start looking for more out of life and showing up to life, because I think a lot of times in like a very low spot, and I know for myself in like very, very low spots, I'm like, why should I even try? I don't like my life anyways. I don't like my life. Why would I try? Why would I try to show up to life and be present to life and be paying attention to what's going on in life? Why would I even try? Because life sucks. Why would I try? And those two things make each other worse, because thinking that and not showing up to life makes life worse, and life being bad makes you think that more often. Because when you actually do show up to life and you do start having some intentionality and mindfulness in life, life can actually become the way you like it to be. Crazy thing. And life can be getting better if you are actually investing in it. You know, the little quote, the grass is greener where you water it. It's not greener on this side or that side, but it's greener where you water it. And I think that really makes sense of where you invest and where you put your time and intentionality into can flourish if you give it the opportunity to. So change can be scary, and change can be difficult and frightening, and it can feel really unnecessary. But if things aren't working for you the way they are now, then you need change. I can't tell you what in your life needs to change unless I was just talking to you. I might be able to help you get a couple clues and a couple ideas, but change is important. Without change, there's not really any development. And you don't want to be stagnant. I think, yes, change is scary, but I'm more afraid of living a stagnant life. So I think change is really frightening for a lot of nines because it's uncomfortable and it seems like a waste of time, and I'm going to put a ton of effort into something that I may not even like. Well, you know, if you put a ton of effort into enough things, enough times that you don't like, you might stumble on one thing that really makes you feel like you have purpose in life. And wouldn't it be nice to feel like you have purpose in life? I just think the dream, because nine ones are called the dreamers, but nines, you are optimist and you have this big idealistic view on how life should be and how it could be. And if you started working towards it, actually putting time, effort, thought, and putting yourself into whatever it is that is pushing you down the avenue closer to this idealistic world, you might get there one day. If you are walking down the path to this perfect world, then you might actually get there. Staying still or staying where you are because you're not sure how much work it's going to take is not getting you any closer. It's not. It's actually making you grow your roots deeper into wherever you're at. So I say change is frightening until you start making changes. Once you start incorporating change as a normal thing in your life, you will be able to prove to yourself you can endure change, and change might be something that actually makes you feel better in life. And kind of like the saying yes to life thing, you can say no later. So you can try now and then say no later. I mean, that's what I've done with this YouTube channel. Was I think my first video I posted on here has taken off, and it has like, I don't know, right now it's close to like 5,000 views or something, which I get it is not that many, but it's taken off, and I've been getting appointments, and I get comments, and I'm interacting with you guys all the time. And when I started, I was like, here's this huge thing I'm gonna have to do, this huge commitment I'm gonna have. I feel like this is pretty overwhelming, and I don't think, what if I'm not any good at it? What if I don't like it? What if I want to change later? And that was kind of holding me back. And I decided, you know what? I don't have to plan out the next 20 years. I just need to do this week and then film videos next week. And then the next week came and I'm getting better at this. I need to film the next week. And you know, don't try to eat the elephant all in one bite, just one at a time, and trying to think about what I'm going to be like, who I'm going to be if I'm doing this huge thing. Don't try to think about that as much as what you're going to just do on this day for this task. You know, one thing at a time. Instead of, this is who I am now, I'm this now, it's more like, this is something that I do sometimes. That can help you kind of incorporate change instead of being like, well, I want to hike, so I guess I hike now. I'm the kind of person, I have tons of, you know, hiking boots, and I drive all over the country to hike places. That seems really like a big commitment. What am I going to do with work and family and obligations? Oh my goodness. Well, you don't need to plan all of that out right now. Just go on a hike this afternoon, you know? So it's easier said than done, and it's easy to say for someone else, and it's easy probably for you to watch this to be like, oh yeah, those 9s should do that. But as a 9, you should probably think, you know, a little bit like, well, what could I do? You know, I like painting, but I don't want to commit to being an artist. I'm not going to college for art. I'm not making a career out of this. What's the purpose? Could the purpose be just to enjoy it and to do it? Could that be the purpose? Could you make that the purpose? So just those kinds of thoughts I'm going to leave you with here today, and a couple of different ideas. I've talked a lot about type 9s on this channel, so I have a couple other videos for 9s if you want to watch those as well, because you know, I've learned a lot from being around 9s, and I've learned a lot about 9s because it's always good to know about yourself, so you know about, so you know how you are kind of perceiving the world around you, where you are hindering yourself and where you are helping yourself, okay? So I would love to meet with you and talk to you through Zoom or Skype, and I will see you guys soon in another video. Bye!